That's the thing. It's I was actually having a conversation with my wife the other day, which once again we find another parallel. My wife's a nurse as well, and we're having the conversation about having to reinvent yourself. It's something that I've had to do a few times, and break things down, put them back together. And I said, the difference between me and a lot of other people is that I've just done it enough in my life, sometimes by choice, sometimes not by choice, but I've had to basically rebuild the way I played, my career, everything about me. I've had to rebuild at some point multiple times in my life. So it's a process. And I know, hey, if I did it this time, I could probably do it, again. And you learn the skills of how to go about it, how to do the problem solving, how to create the structures. So I think that's a critical skill that, I wish more people were teaching in the collegiate, or actually just in general, that people were teaching that to musicians, that there's because there's so many natural players out there. I use that term loosely. I hate the word natural, but that people that are able to do things without a whole lot of direction, but then they eventually will hit the wall, and then they have no idea how to fix the problem. So it's developing those problem solving skills. I think it's critical.
Well, I mean, you've got what ends up happening, and when you see that enough, I use the example of, it's the kid in 8th grade that gets a Maynard Ferguson record and goes, oh, all right, grabs his horn, starts playing along with Maynard, and by the time he's a junior in high school, can play double whatever, and play along with Maynard, do all that kind of playing, and didn't ever think about it, didn't ever have to think about it. And their teacher, or people that know them along the way, if they meet a professional, say, hey man, you need to get together a routine, and you need to get together, make sure you got good fundamentals, you're taking care of business. And all of those guys hit a wall, just like exactly what you're saying. I haven't seen anybody that hasn't, now I'm sure that maybe there is, that someone's just a natural, wonderful player and they can just intuitively do it. But everybody that I've run into, that I've talked to, they've always hit a spot where that doesn't work anymore. Or they get a little older and they don't know, something goes wrong, or they had a long stretch where they get injured or something like that, and they've not been paying attention to how they do it. They haven't had to pay attention. And so we look at it, those of us who had to really work at it the whole way. I didn't have those natural chops when I was coming up. So I had to figure out how to do it later in my late 20s and into my 30s, from the lead standpoint. But but there's no reason for those folks to, if it always works, why would you spend all this time doing other stuff? It doesn't make any sense. And people, they're going to get this great information. Yeah, you got to study how you play because it's going to break and you're going to have to fix it. And my wife got that. She was that person as a French horn player. She was a natural player, and her teacher said, you got to learn how you play. You got to learn, you got to study it. You got to look in the mirror. You got to take notes. You got to figure out how to fix it. And she was like, yeah, whatever. And then she went on to grad school, and one of these teachers changed an embouchure that she didn't need an embouchure change.
Yeah.
And it messed her up. And then so she left that school, and she found herself, back in her hometown, getting calls for gigs, and like, oh no, I got to fix this. I got to figure it out, but she wasn't going to listen to that advice, because she didn't have to. She just had this beautiful, natural, beautiful sound. And I guess you can't fault that. I guess you can't. Yeah. The rest of us, if you're in the martial arts, or where you're looking at something where it is, if you just had an idea that you could do whatever it was that you needed to do without having to practice it, just naturally, I mean, it would be difficult to make yourself do a bunch of things you didn't think you need.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think sometimes it boils down to asking the right questions. And when people ask me, like, for anything, whether it's, music, martial arts, personal development, anything like that, and they ask me, what's the best way to do something? And I say, well, the first question I have to ask you is, what is it you're trying to do? Because the best way to approach getting result A is going to be the worst thing you could possibly do to achieve result B. So ask yourself, what is it you're trying to gain, or what is it about your current situation that you either don't like or you would like to see some level of improvement on? Is it your tone? Is it your tonguing? Is it your flexibility? So, think about those deeper questions. Why do you want to change, and what exactly do you want to see that change look like? And then you can start to logically look at what steps you need to take and what you need to address to get to that point. But I think most people just don't even bother asking those kind of questions. It's just, I want to be better. I want to play higher. It's,
Yeah. Well, that's philosophy. I mean, that's asking questions.
Yeah.
That's seeking wisdom as opposed to trying to get. And when you look online and you see all the trumpet players and that are giving tips and tricks and hacks and things that you go, here's in 4 minutes I'm going to give you something, and what you end up, and a lot of the information, not bad information, it's not necessarily, there might be kernels of truth to all of them, but a lot of folks are looking at that and they're thinking, oh well, if I just do this one thing that this one person said in a 5 minute or a 4 minute video, that there's going to be some kind of shortcut that's involved. And it's all of those fixes. It's like the gadgets you get for golf, whatever, like that. It's something that sorry, shoes coming off. You see these instructional videos for golfers, and they've got this thing that does this and helps your swing, and this you put on the club, and this you put underneath your elbow, and you strap this to your waist, and probably all of them are, when you use them for instructional purposes, are able to illustrate a point.
Right.
Able to show you something that maybe you can be aware of or you can work on, but none of them have any lasting effect, because they just create a momentary awareness of some aspect of what you're doing, and they don't change. They don't do the necessary reinforcement to change it or to improve the situation, or maybe that's not something that was even a problem before.
Right.
That's not really the problem. So
Yeah.
it's all self-diagnosis, really. I mean, everybody teaches themselves.
Yeah. They say your own best teacher. So,
Your own worst enemy.
and that too.